Hello, I'm Andrea Palm Porter, here to share best communication practices for leaders. Where without good communication practices can be counterproductive to leadership effectiveness, leaders that implement communication best practices are more compelling, given that it improves relationships, inspires action, and builds trust. Leaders have heightened pressures due to the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, which other words, VUCA, of today's environment. Today's leaders must find harmony between constant disruptions and an individual's well-being by building agile behaviors that allow collaboration and communication, according to Baran and Woznyj, 2020. While each individual brings unique strengths to a team or organization, creating complexity and diversity, leaders must capitalize on emotional and cultural intelligence that empowers and inspires action. Additionally, leaders conscious of different digital communication channels can use them to improve communication if used with intention. Interpreting the written word, spoken word, and nonverbal communication can all have a tremendous impact on a message's intent, which can leave a feeling of empowerment or disempowerment, depending on the many factors to consider when communicating. This presentation will share best practices in leadership communication and provide explanations and examples. When it comes to organizational effectiveness, leadership and communication go hand in hand. One directly correlates to the other, whereas depending on the communication competencies of leadership will determine the level of organizational success or dysfunction. Leaders must navigate between communication modalities such as verbal, written, and nonverbal communication, and communicate by meeting face-to-face or through digital channels, which when combined is complex. Leaders' awareness in approaching situations with deliberate intention is complex because of the constant technological advances in communication tools, according to Torrey and Sardi, 2020. More workforces in today's environment are now working remotely, are multi-generational and multicultural, where a need for leaders to communicate clearly and concisely is essential in reflecting upon the organization's culture. Leadership must impact throughout an organization directly because it influences the culture through the leader's behaviors, strategies, and practices, according to Warwick, 2017. Hence, influential leaders results in good organizational cultures, whereas an ineffective leader can negatively impact the culture. Leaders who effectively express ideas and inspire others rely heavily on successful communication skills, according to the Young Entrepreneur Council of 2018. Therefore, the first communication best practice is upskilling leaders' communication competencies to navigate VUCA's environment while maximizing human capacity effectively. There seems to be pressure points on employees to meet the demands of the VUCA environments with the rapid pace of technology and globalization. For example, there are many remote workers because of the pandemic. As technology is complex due to continual advancements, humans must continually adapt and learn, affecting one's well-being. There is a need to boost human intelligence to take advantage of collaborating and communicating through technology, according to Philip, 2022. Organizations that nurture and appreciate leaders' strengths have a better chance of increasing human capacity. Being intentional about a positive culture that bridges any disparity among individuals involves buy-in from all organizational levels, respectful language, and emotional intelligence to elevate one's experience, according to Dalvea, 2020. The willingness of leaders to be empathetic towards others is an astute skill to ensure a positive environment exists. According to Warwick, 2017, leaders at all levels of an organization that are attuned to an organization's culture are more attentive to correct negative behaviors and show appreciation for positive ones. Therefore, leaders that humanize and individualize communication practices with an emphasis on personal strengths can increase the organization's human capacity resources. So capitalizing on an individual's strengths can bring out the best qualities of others and increase productivity. A leader that learns individual strengths, helps develop them, and communicates with individuals emphasizing those strengths has an advantage over other leaders. Strength-based leadership uses an appreciative approach that discovers, promotes, and develops individual strengths to produce desired results, according to Ding et al., 2020. An example to discover and develop individual strengths can be taking a strengths assessment such as Gallup's Clifton Strengths. A strength-based self-assessment can support leaders in identifying strengths and increase engagement, according to Orlowski and Story, 2020. Therefore, a leader that communicates, encourages, and shows appreciation for utilizing personal strengths helps build a strength-based culture. Emphasizing strengths leverages assets to develop a healthy culture, according to Williams, 2021. A best practice when leaders foster individuals and teams in strength-based cultures recognize the significance and influence it can have on a positive organizational environment. Now, emotional intelligence, EI, is another critical development opportunity for leaders to support effective communication. Emotional intelligence is important in communication as it aids in how an individual expresses oneself, either effectively or ineffectively. The emotional intelligence concept is a leader's capacity to be aware of, knowingly experience, express, comprehend, and control emotions, according to Andreyko et al., 2020. Humans are emotional beings, whether one is conscious or unconscious of knowing their emotional state. However, a leader's ability to express emotions or be empathetic is crucial to effective communication and the ability to adapt messaging, according to Derrick's 2020. An example is that a person that uses positive languaging will likely communicate where others feel safe and inspired. In contrast, a person that uses negative language will likely communicate where people feel disempowered and unproductive, likely even frustrated. Positive leaders communicate through storytelling, using emotions through appreciation, empathy, and inspiration, while a lack of emotional expression tends to leave individuals feeling less connection and confusion, according to Aidman and Long, 2017. Therefore, another communication best practice is using one's emotional intelligence to express emotions in a way that creates the connection, motivates, and influences others to act. Beyond emotional intelligence, cultural intelligence is another aspect of communication that needs attention. Workforces are becoming more diverse through globalization and remote workers, demanding leaders to be culturally intelligent. Leading individuals worldwide takes extra attention to be attentive by being culturally, socially, and emotionally intelligent, according to Ahmed and Kay, 2019. Adaptive means communicating inclusively by understanding cultural differences. Cultural intelligent leaders foster inclusivity by humanizing organizations and communicating to adapt to the differences of cross-cultural individuals, according to Loring and Johansson, 2017. Emphasizing the need to upskill empathy as a culturally intelligent leader is critical to understanding different cultural communication innuendos. An example is where empathy will help a leader to remain sensitive and curious in developing relationships and establishing trust. According to LSE 2019, leaders must be empathetic and collaborative in building relationships and trust among individuals from different cultural backgrounds, as you can see here in Figure 1. Hence, another best communication practice is to develop cultural intelligence to create inclusivity, collaboration, relationships, and trust. Communicating with diverse and remote workers through digital platforms is yet another area of consciousness leaders should establish best practices. So digital communication practices should include selecting the appropriate communication channel, simplifying the complexities, creating connection, and establishing context. Digital platforms help and hinder the flow of information within an organization. Hence, leaders should be attentive to selecting a digital communication channel such as email, text, messaging, video conferencing, social media, and intranet sites to get the desired results. Misusing a communication channel can result in disruption, disagreement, and inefficiencies, according to Goman 2018. With many digital communication channel options, leaders need to consider the level of complexity and adaptability when collaborating, giving direction, or making a request with different generations. Different generations have preferences for digital communication channels, whereas some channels will cause anxiety to older generations due to the complexity of learning the technology, according to Cortellozzo et al., 2019. Additionally, context and connection are vital in digital communication, creating trust and building relationships if used effectively. Bewilderment, conflict, and distrust can result from misused digital communication channels because of unclear context and lack of connection. Goman, 2018. Another aspect when utilizing digital communication includes using the written word. There are hundreds of thousands of vocabulary words, and without having context, a word can have multiple interpretations. Hence, context creates clarity. For example, take the word bark. Now, add the context of dog, which means a dog barking, or the context of tree interprets the word as bark on a tree. In communication, providing context and clarity is essential to establishing meaning, according to Torrey and Sardi, 2020. Any written communication, such as a report, emails, and text messages, should consider the receiver's interpretation and adapt messaging to ensure the context is clear. Adapting a leader's communication style to be inclusive and concise by aligning with the audience will help eliminate misinterpretations due to context variations, according to Cortellozzo et al., 2019. The same concept applies to other types of communication practices. A leader can also be perceived as incompetent, disrespectful, and lose credibility if grammar and punctuation are not used appropriately. Leaders who provide the audience use proper grammar, positive languaging, clear messaging, and proofread are perceived as professional and respectful, according to Gruffy and Lowy, 2019. From written to oral communication, preparing storytelling and authenticity can help transmit information that sticks. Preparing to speak to a select audience, to a single person, or at a conference of hundreds, the first thing to do is prepare a message that has been put together thoughtfully, that ties to the audience and articulates a clear purpose, has a probability of influencing and establishing the speaker's credibility, according to Bly, 2018. Moreover, storytelling will help create an emotional connection, establish authenticity, and grasps the audience attention. According to Kagan, 2020, authentic storytellers that set the context, details the problem and solution, and has an emotional connection can be inspirational, create higher engagement with the audience. Speakers that are calm and not trying to be something other than themselves or speak about unknown topics will also portray authenticity. Otherwise, if a message is not genuine and the speaker is nervous, there will likely be a disconnect with the audience. Researching the topic, conveying information naturally through voice inflection, and being thoughtful of the audience will help the speaker successfully deliver an authentic message, according to Bly, 2018. Using nonverbal communication to complement oral communication will also help speakers build trust, relatability, and improve engagement. Here, nonverbal communication can enhance oral communication through eye contact, gestures, facial expressions, and body language. Although, when utilizing digital communication channels, nonverbal cues are likely lacking, impacting trust and connection. According to Goman, 2018, organizations' increasingly unhealthy digital environments impact empathy, message effectiveness, trust, and relationships. Some nonverbal cues can be seen through video conferencing, where one can see a smile, an eye roll, hand gestures, or even like raising your hand because you have something to say, and other facial expressions, or lack thereof. Nonverbal observations provide speakers cues to interpret how a message is being received, which is obsolete in written communication. Observing nonverbal conduct is critical for a speaker, whereas the speaker can then adapt, reapproach, clarify, and aim to build trust with the audience, according to Carney 2021. A best practice to show engagement with nonverbal communication is to have eye contact, use non-offensive gestures, smile, and have open body language to show engagement. According to Carney 2021, using appropriate nonverbal communication cues can increase engagement to build trust and consensus. It is astute of leaders to be attentive and use nonverbal communication. In conclusion, communication practices are complex in today's VUCA environment. Leaders can use verbal, written, and nonverbal communication through digital channels or face-to-face interactions, which takes conscious effort to build trust and develop relationships. Whereas leaders that capitalize on cultural uniquenesses and strengths of individuals through the use of emotional intelligence have the opportunity to be highly effective and create a positive culture. As technology continues to advance and remote work increases, selecting the appropriate digital channel platform to relay a message will increase the likelihood that the intent and context are understood. Additionally, leaders that align with the audience to be inclusive and succinct will likely avoid misinterpretations due to context variations. Leaders that speak calmly and genuinely will be portrayed as authentic, credible, and trustworthy. Moreover, observing the use of eye contact, gestures, facial expressions, and body language will help a leader adapt messaging and improve engagement. Lastly, leaders that implement communication best practices are more inspirational and influential. Thank you. If you're interested in learning more, you can check out these references. I hope you found this presentation beneficial to helping your communication practices.